Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to LeTip Live. LeTip is an organization of like-minded individuals brought together to help each other's businesses grow and flourish. And today, that's what we're going to do with you today. We have a special treat. We have Eddie Mohamed from the Boca Raton chapter. We have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, including business funding. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Mohamed.
Hey, good afternoon.
Eddie. Normally we'd have you in the studio, but we're virtual. So welcome, Eddie, to our virtual studio here today. Eddie, how are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm with you in spirit, so don't worry about those virtual
Absolutely.
things.
I love it. I love it. Great stuff. Great stuff. So we have a lot to talk about, a lot to dissect, and a lot to teach and train our members here today. But let's start simple. Let's start easy. You're in the Boca Raton chapter. How's that going for you?
It's going great, man. I really love the group and the dynamics. As you know, the Boca Raton chapter, like roughly 5 years ago, was the top chapter in the organization, and we're kind of going through a restructuring phase. But I think we can get up there again, and I call it Project 30 because I think 30 members is where the magic happens. So we're on our way to progressing towards that 30 mark again.
Nice. Awesome, love it. So you're the program director.
Yes, sir.
How's that going? Do you like being a program director?
I like it. And the first thing I did is I reached out to the two top program directors in the footprint. I believe I met them at the lunch bunch and said, hey, man, you're top at what you do. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Just kind of share some nuggets with me, share some wisdom. And they were nice enough to share even their email templates that they sent out and this and that. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Whatever successful people do, I just simply do it.
Awesome. Great stuff. We want to remind everyone that we are live. So if you have a question, comment, or concern, you could put it in the comments section. We could answer it live with Eddie today. All right, Eddie. So you are the one and only business funding. You're the only person who holds the business funding category. What is business funding?
Cool. So when I first joined the organization, it was in 2021. I looked quickly at the endless categories in the catalog and just kind of did a flip Hail Mary and said business finance sounds good. But over time, the kind of leads that were coming via my chapter, well, not so much for my chapter, other chapters, they thought I was a fractional CFO. So I reached out to Summer's predecessor and said, listen, I think I'm in the wrong category. Is there another one I can jump into, or can we create one from scratch? So we scratched our head, and then Summer took over, and I said, how about business funding? And then we can create. So we literally created a category suited for me. And essentially, I'm the go-to guy when the bank says no, if you're seeking a business loan of any type, because of the options I have access to, and I can do business nationwide. So for those bankers out there, I'm your plan B. You know, when you get that deal that gets turned down, you don't have to sing the blues. You could just tell the client I have a second option. And again, having options is really puts me in a good position to really shop the marketplace, present a solution that truly makes sense for the client in front of me. So that way, it's not they're not dead in the water if the bank says no. There's hope. There's still light at the end of the tunnel.
Awesome, great stuff. So, what would be the your ideal person to contact you?
From an end user perspective, companies, they're doing north of a couple of $1 million a year in annual revenues, all the way to 100 million. So that covers pretty much the small biz to mid-market segment. Industry, I'm industry agnostic. I don't care if they're blue collar, white collar, what have you. If they have a business and it's making revenue, they're a good candidate for some type of lending solution. And typically, they're seeking working capital for expansion, equipment financing, maybe the acquisition of another business. They're tired of maybe leasing the space they occupy. They want to buy it to kind of stabilize cost a little bit. So luckily, within my network of funding sources, I have access to a lot of great options.
Awesome. Great stuff. So the reason why we're here today, obviously, we have so many members in our great networking group here that we have to our disposal. We want to bring their expertise to you guys. So, Eddie, do you have any tips or tricks or things we can work on to help our business funding?
Yeah. You know, I dissected two categories I want to touch on that some small business owners overlook. Because, you know, when you're a small business owner, you wear a lot of hats, right? Until you build a team and then you start delegating to certain supervisors and what have you. But essentially, your average small business owner does wear 2 to 3 to 5 hats. And sometimes they overlook certain nuances that keep them, unfortunately, from gaining access to capital. So I'm going to touch on some tips on the commercial credit side of things. A lot of business owners may not notice, but just like the consumer side, there's 3 main bureaus commercial lenders report to, and that's Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. Just like a consumer, your business has a credit score. There's a lot of folks out there who seek SBA loans, get denied, and they're scratching their head. They're like, I don't get it. I've shown a profit year in, year out. I know my business is young. Why am I being turned down? Well, the SBA does have a minimum commercial credit score requirement in addition to you being a borrower, and most folks don't know that. So the education component is crucial, and know what you're getting into. When I was in banking, I got into banking at age 21. Now I'm 43 pretty much. So it was originally 3 C's of credit. Now in modern day, it's 5 C's of credit, and it's character, capacity, collateral, capital, and condition. In a nutshell, the character component is along with your credit history, how you manage your history in the past, your commercial credit report, the capacity, the debt the business is currently paying versus revenue coming in. Collateral is the loan being borrowed for something that's collateralized by asset or simply unsecured. And then the capital component is how much skin you have in the game, right? Are you putting 10% down, 20% down? Condition just encompasses the purpose of the loan, the amount, the rates and terms, and that compose the offer. And is it suitable for you to take on? Can you manage it as a business, or are you over leveraged? And, so a lot of business owners think, I pay my bills on time, I have, profitable tax returns, that should be enough to get me any business loan. A little bit more involved than that, a little bit more complex. But again, it's an education process. I've taken some clients who were deemed unbankable by certain banks, got them some temporary capital while rehabbing them to make them bankable 6 months, a year down the road, and flipping them back to that banker so they can do something with them. So, the education process is important, and having the patience and being able to inform the clients, and you build lifelong relationships that way too.
Absolutely. Great stuff. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. We want to help connect you guys with Eddie. So definitely, if anything that Eddie's talking about resonates with you, you definitely want to look him up. He is the guy to go to. His email's on this card. His phone number's on this card. These are the things he does and can help you. And that's why we're doing this today. We want to have you guys ask questions. So if you guys at home have a question, comment, concern, you could definitely ask, and we'll answer it here today. So knowledge is power. Obviously, education is definitely a huge thing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to keep putting yourself in deeper and deeper of a hole. Any other tips that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, I wanted to share also some tips regarding just how to be a little bit more organized and avoid. There's a lot of fraud out there, right? Cybersecurity is a major concern. We live in a very virtual world. Even data is exchanged virtually. Just little tidbits to share with the business owners just to help them not expose themselves to fraud, because I think that's the biggest part of the battle. Protecting yourself from fraud is way better than exposing yourself to fraud, having fraud, and fighting it, right? So just how do you avoid it altogether? So for starters, when you open a business checking account, the bank issues you a debit card linked to that account. I advise you not to use it. I advise you to only use it to put money in the ATM or take money out of the ATM. Get yourself a business credit card, use that for all business related expenses, and then end of the month pay that bill down with your bank account. That way, because with a business credit card, what people don't realize, if fraud happens, the fraud gets taken off your statement and you're not responsible. When it's fraud via the bank debit card linked to your checking account, now you've exposed the actual funds in your business checking account to fraud. And then that bank simply has to apply a credit while doing an investigation. It may go in your favor, not a good situation to be in, especially if you come towards the end of the billing cycle. You're about to make payroll, you're about to pay your vendors, and now you get hit with fraud. Now you have to get some embarrassing conversations in place and tell your vendors, we got hit with fraud, we can't pay you this week. So it's better to avoid it. Use the credit card, isolate, separate the funds together. I would say another area that people still to this day, it's just mind-boggling. They write physical checks for no reason. just because I'm old school, I like to write a check. Well, guess what? You write a check and stick it in that mailbox, you just expose yourself to fraud.
Yeah.
That mail gets exposed, or now they have your signature, your account number, your routing number. They can duplicate those checks. So anybody that gets paid in today's age with a check most likely has electronic means of accepting a payment. Case in point, all your vendors can be paid via either a corporate card or ACH. Your employees, there is no reason in this day and age to be cutting employee physical checks, because again, that employee, God forbid, let's say you fire them and you give them their last check. Now you have a disgruntled ex-employee walking around with your bank information in their hand, right? You want to do is set up some kind of payroll service to pay all your employees via direct deposit. That way your employees are paid they wake up Friday morning with money in their account. The money is transferred electronically. They never see your banking information. So those are just, and then obviously paperless everywhere you can. Any bank statements, sign up for paperless. If you're applying for a loan, the party that's collecting your bank statements and tax returns should supply you some mechanism of protection, not simply say, email me your bank statements, email me your tax return. They should supply some kind of Dropbox, highly encrypted mechanism to upload your docs. And that way it's protected. So I supply that to the clients I work with. I really get irritated when clients email me their bank statements with tax returns. I'm like, I did supply you that link, secured. There's a reason I did that, right? So like, yeah, I'm sorry, I was in a hurry. But so passing the data, passing in a safe mannerism, protecting your data, and avoiding just the paper trail aspect of things. When you open a checking account in this day and age and you order a book of checks, those checks should last you a lifetime on that account, because there's no reason to be paying by checks other than you need to supply somebody a void check in a while. But I just cringe when I hear business owner XYZ over there still pays his employees with live checks. I'm like, that's insane. You're just exposing yourself to unnecessary fraud. So that's half the battle. Don't expose yourself to fraud, and that's just part of it. If you happen to get exposed to fraud, then you have to kind of backstep and see what was the cause of that exposure and how do we eliminate it, how do we mitigate it. It's a major inconvenience when you get hit with fraud, especially on the business side of things. It affects your operating accounts. You don't know what's been exposed, what's been compromised. So take those precautions, stop being old school, get with the program, embrace the technology and the safety that's in place. And if you find it annoying, it's fine, but it's for your protection.
Awesome. Great stuff. So, but besides the, quote unquote business funding that you can maybe help businesses get, what other services, what else can you help businesses do?
So the funding is kind of a generic, because what I hope to have created is an ecosystem for business owners to plug into. So I'm the guy you can go to for working capital. 6 months goes down the road. Hey, we're looking to buy some heavy duty machinery. Can you assist us with that? We're looking to, we have a lot of receivables. We're looking maybe for a factoring solution, right? So it has different phases, different flavors. So I just want to let them know that you can come back to me for those various transaction types that fall under the umbrella of business funding. So it's not just an SBA loan or a bank loan or a private loan, or it has various components, and those components can be satisfied under one roof.
Awesome. So we do want to remind everyone that we are live. So if you have a question, comment, concern, you can put in the comment section. We have our first one from Elise. Elise asks, can you work with partners in a buyout situation?
Absolutely. Buyout, I've recently discovered, which is another reason I want to recruit one so bad. The buyout transaction can be executed between two business partners that basically one is looking to retire, one is looking to cash out, but it can also be done in the case of a divorce. Let's say you have a husband and wife own a business together and built it together, 50-50. One part in a divorce, we always think somebody gets the house, somebody gets the car, somebody gets this. What about the business, right? So if they do an evaluation, it can be implemented in the event of a divorce, so one party can buy the other one's half out. So yeah, partner buyout. It's a transaction. The SBA loves those transactions, especially if the business, we can document and validate they make the kind of money they make, and we can create a reasonable multiple. Because in essence, you're just using the funds to buy out the other party's shares in the business. So yeah, very popular transaction. I'm looking to do hopefully more of those in 24 when the prime goes down. Right now, people are kind of cautious. they're not doing me any help. The Feds right now, they just bumped it up again to 8.5. But again, I'm gearing up, putting the pieces on the board. So as I'm hoping, based on analysts that I've spoke to, that fourth quarter, if not fourth quarter, first quarter of next year, we'll start seeing some trickling down in the prime rate, and then they'll stimulate some more lending activities for sure.
Awesome. So we do, yeah, guys, keep the questions coming. So yeah, let's go into that. What do you see the future of the market happening, and trends, and anything in the future that we should be keeping an eye open for?
Well, historically speaking, nothing stays up forever, nothing stays down forever. The issue we had is during the last administration, the interest rate environment was ridiculously low, and it stayed low for a very long time. So right now we're making up for lost times. So as the same amount of time the interest rates stay low, the same amount of time they're going to stay high. But what goes up must come down, and vice versa. So are they going to be high forever? No. The hike that just happened, do I see any more? Maybe one more if that. After that, it's on its way down. Because it can't stay up forever, and unfortunately can't stay down forever. But that's why you structure certain transactions in a way where you gauge it that by the time the prepayment penalty ends, you'll be in a position to refi and put yourself in a better. So yeah, if my outlook on 24 is, I'm hopefully seeing a trickling down of the prime rate.
Awesome. Great stuff. Like I said, guys, waiting for your questions. As always, we are live here with Eddie. Don't be shy. Don't be bashful. Put a question in the comment section. We'll answer it live today. Eddie, any other tips, tricks, or anything business funding related that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, I everything on the business funding side is tied to prime. So I always educate the business owner of obviously how the loan is going to be priced, right? So they're not shocked. You'd be amazed how many business owners do not know what the prime rate is. They still think it's 3.25 from back when PPP was happening. I'm like, no, it's 8 and change. And they're like, what? So your typical SBA loan in this environment is priced anywhere from prime +2 to prime +4. So we're talking double digits right out of the gate. That's for a fixed product. So you can imagine the secondary market, how that looks. So I always encourage business owners to really know their profit margins, really have a game plan of, as soon as this cash is in your hand, how are you going to implement it to make more money for the company, right? So this $500,000, $1 million you're borrowing, is it going to lead to a multiple of 6 million additional revenue, or you're simply borrowing to experiment some expansion tactics in hopes to make more revenue? If that's the case, realize that the cost of capital is such, and hopefully your profit margins can help you absorb that, and you can remain profitable. Because I don't want to finance somebody's demise. Right? I want to finance their success. I want to fuel their growth agenda. So I just make sure I have those conversations so they know what they're getting into, and make a well-informed decision.
Awesome. Doug Bressler asks, do you offer lending for commercial property, i.e. commercial mortgages?
Yeah. I'm very fortunate in my world. On the commercial side of things, I don't need any special licenses. So unlike a residential mortgage broker, they need an MLS. So I can do a commercial mortgage in a variety of type of commercial property. Sometimes you'll have somebody that's buying a property, will occupy a percentage, sublease the rest. Sometimes they're buying the property, they're going to occupy the bulk of it, which is even more favorable for the lender. And sometimes you'll have a guy that wants to buy a strip center as an investment property, income producing. I have access to various programs for the various intentions, so to speak. Yeah.
Awesome. Great stuff. Keep the questions coming, guys. So Eddie, let's say you have a new up and coming startup or entrepreneur or someone starting a business. What are the first couple things besides contact you? What are the first couple things that someone should do?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the lending solutions I have are not really geared towards startups. However, I have knowledge and access to certain resources I can direct them to, such as your local SCORE office, the SBDC. They can assist them with a variety of things, like how to put together a true marketing plan, a true business plan. So my advice to anybody getting business is, first, make sure your personal credit is on point, is polished, because a lot of in the early stages of business, it's going to fall on your shoulder as the guarantor until the business builds steam and age and gets its own credit score. Secondly, get all your ducks in a row, do your homework, get all your business plans in place, plug into the right resources. There's a lot of free resources through the SBDC, which is a subdivision of the SBA. They usually have an office at every major university, by the way. So FAU has a great office for the SBDC. So some of the the major campuses across the state. Any major university you can think of in the state of Florida usually has an SBDC component built in their school of business. So try to, look into your resources, do your homework. I know a lot of people jump into business head first without thinking. Worst thing you can do. Just do your homework, put your ducks in a row, clean up your credit. You're coming in at a super disadvantage if you're coming in with challenge credit right out of the gate. You need to get your credit above that 720 mark and better before getting into any business venture of any kind.
Awesome. Great stuff. Great stuff. We want to remind you guys that we are live. So if you have a question, please put in the comment section. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's dive into LeTip. So how did you find LeTip?
How did I find LeTip? That's interesting. So Elise Gross, who's the estate planning attorney of our group, we had met a couple of years before in a mastermind group. And during the pandemic, she had invited me. So my first time attending as a guest at LeTip, it was during the pandemic, and I came virtual. Then I noticed there's people in that group that I knew from my past life. The banker at the time, Joe Scandado, I knew him from my banking days, and a lot of familiar faces. I'm like, yeah, I like the way this meeting is run. It was definitely a refreshing change from BNI, PNI, and all that stuff, which I did that in my former life, in my corporate. And they were so unlike that. There was a slight likeness, but also a lot of unlikeness, which I enjoyed. So it was very refreshing. And the thing is, I mean, I get to talk to the main person that runs LeTip from day one, which is now Summer, right? Middleton. I have a direct report whether I can call Summer. Like when I was at BNI, I couldn't call the main guy that ran BNI. He was in another country, another state. Maybe if you attend one of the conferences, you might take your picture with him. But and the fact that I can get tips from chapters outside of mine. So when you join LeTip, you don't gain access to just that chapter. You gain access to the whole network. I thought that was really cool.
Awesome. Great stuff. So do you have a tip or trick maybe to a newer member who just joined LeTip to help them get their LeTip journey started?
Yeah, I mean, learn from my, obviously, the more time I've been there, I know what to do, what not to do, what works, what doesn't work. So they kind of gain, I would tell them, trust the process, gain from the knowledge of the senior folks, the veterans, and embrace it. You know what I mean? Like if there's a formula that you have to follow, right? And then if you follow the formula to the T, you'll see the results. Not just take pieces of the formula you like and pieces you don't. That's why, being a successful member of LeTip is like following a pretty, somewhat of a strict diet. There's certain components of diet you have to follow. Not say, well, I like this component, but I can't give this up. And before you know it, the diet doesn't work for you at all because you didn't follow the diet in its entirety. So there's a lot of resources in LeTip, between the lunch bunch and the power hour, and it's way above the meeting. So it's a contact sport. The more you invest in yourself and the more you engage, the more you get a return on your investment, and you'll see the results that much faster. So I just go in, all in, embrace it, be engaged, and trust the process.
Awesome. Trying not to jump around a little bit, but we have some more questions in the comments. Alex asked, what are typical turnaround times from start to close?
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's different timetables for different product types. So on the long end, your typical SBA loan, 8 to 12 weeks. And there's two reasons for that. The components in the underwriting phase, and also people don't understand lending institutions is a business like everybody else. And right now, everybody's hurting for staffing, right? A lot of these lending institutions I'm dealing with are understaffed just like everybody else. So the cases are not being turned around as fast as they used to be. So it's the complexity of your case and underwriting and the lack of staffing is contributing to the turnaround time. But I keep a pretty tight pulse with my lenders of the realistic turnaround time, and I communicate that to the applicants so they have realistic expectations. But I would say SBA loans, 8 to 12 weeks on average. A factoring situation can take 2 weeks. There's some various types of loan programs the quickest I've ever seen in this economy is one of those secondary lenders. We did a unsecured business loan for this one client in Sarasota. We turned everything on Monday, and I think by Friday we had the money in their account. That was the quickest I've ever seen. But that's not your average case. That's not your. So I would say, depending on the loan program and the type, I would know the turnaround time from the lender, and I would communicate that to the borrower so they have everybody in the picture has realistic expectation.
Awesome. Great stuff. Great stuff. Guys, keep the questions coming in the comments. One question that I ask everybody who comes on LeTip Live is what LeTip means to them. So what does LeTip mean to you?
Yeah. So, the top 5 reasons to join LeTip, I really love number 3. It becomes like a family. I've been part of other organizations in the past, and it hasn't felt like family, to be quite frank. I've had part of, I was involved with the chamber, with BNI, PNI, all those other stuff in my past life. I could truly tell you the culture here and the atmosphere that LeTip has created truly gives that family environment. So, some of the members over the years, you'll be invited, weddings and funerals and birthdays and promotions and parties and what have you. So you see different aspects of their lives, and that's how you really become a family. You see the different dimensions of these folks that you're meeting every morning. I think that's how you all become a family.
Awesome. Great stuff. Allison from LinkedIn. That's right. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
We're everywhere, baby.
Everywhere. So Allison from LinkedIn asks, what about hard to fund industries?
Yeah. So that's kind of cyclical. Industries that get affected by the economy usually are the hardest to fund. So construction has been the most challenging one this past year. If you recall, the construction industry was affected by the supply chain situation, and then and recently by the labor issues, especially it's from state to state. Like, for example, our state, Governor DeSantis came down on some of these businesses are not doing E-Verify and hiring illegal help. Well, the reality is constructions and roofers tend to hire a lot of illegal help, right? So when a construction company is forced to hire bona fide, verified labor folks, right? What do you think that does to the cost of construction? So now that roof you want to get done in your house that was built by a bunch of illegals, instead of 40 grand, is going to cost you 70 grand. Because now I got to pay a bunch of guys who are certified W-2, workman's comp, the whole 9. So that creates opportunities because now these guys are seeking more capital from, to make payroll and everything else. But to the consumer, they have to unfortunately bear the grunt of it and take that on. So I would say any industry that faces challenges during the economy, lenders are aware of that, and they kind of gauge the opportunity in front of them by, hey, are we lending to somebody that could potentially go out of business or so on and so forth. But I will tell you, I've had programs for cannabis, CBD, all the others. The only business model I've been unable and unsuccessful to secure any capital for is Bitcoin miners. None of my lenders want to take a chance on them. And quite frankly, I don't know enough about them to go to bat for them and make a case. So I avoid those guys.
Yeah, any moment it could go to zero. We don't know.
Zero.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Comment section still open, guys. You want to put a comment in the comment section, answer it live today with Eddie. Anything else, Eddie? Anything else you want to touch base on? Anything coming up? Any events?
Yeah, we have our first, we have a mixer. We decided as a group, we're going to go 100% virtual, which is working out great, and have a monthly mixer. And our mixer is Wednesday, August 2nd, in a venue in Boca Raton. We have a flyer already circulating. And we're going to try to really target some key positions that we want to add. I know I'd like to see a solid banker because obviously it's a good strategic partner for me. And I think it's a good strategic partner for some key people in the group. And that's really our focus, is to start plugging in key figures who make good synergy partners for certain people in the group. So that way they're easy to tip and they bring value, and then we bring value to them. So that's the game plan. So we were looking to do one of those a month, invite some key people and invite multiple. So that way I don't want one banker to show up to my mixer. I want 3 or 4 bankers. I want them to know they're in competition for that chair. You know what I mean? And the best candidate will win.
Awesome. Great stuff. Great stuff. So last chance, everybody in the comments section, it's your last chance. Put a question in there, question, comment, or concern, or just tell Eddie he's doing a great job. Put in the comment section and we'll answer it live with you today. While people are cooking up their last chance questions, now's time for the fun stuff, Eddie. We're going to get to know you personally. with the speed round. Are you ready for the speed round?
Yeah, I don't have any notes, so I'm gonna have to wing this.
Oh no, I don't prepare anyone for the speed round. This is totally off the cuff. Nothing serious, just like getting to know you. Some simple questions. First thing that comes to your brain, you're gonna let us know. Are you ready for the speed round?
Go for it.
All right, let's go. All right, Eddie. Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite food?
Cuisine wise, I would say Italian.
Okay.
And sushi.
All right. Any particular dish? Spaghetti meatballs?
Anything. I love cheesy. I love cheese. So anything that's cheese on, like chicken parm, what have you.
Nice. I like it. Favorite dessert?
Ice cream. Haagen-Dazs in particular.
All right. It could be healthy. It could be booze. What's your favorite drink? It's a hot summer day. What are you drinking?
Long Island iced tea.
Oh, I like it. Favorite movie?
Of all time, I'm a big Arnold fan growing up. So I would say Terminator 2 is probably one of my best of all time. I must have seen it 100 times. Cool. Comedy-wise, Coming to America would be my
nice. Favorite TV show? It could be streaming. It could be a TV, an actual TV show. Anything that you're watching?
Of all time, I would say The Simpsons.
Okay. All right. Good stuff.
I watched it as a kid, enjoyed it. Watched it as an adult, I still enjoy it.
All right.
Watched it with my parents. We enjoyed it.
Awesome. Favorite business book, something that you would like to share with our fellow business entrepreneurs?
There's a few of those. There's a book, I can't recall the name of the author, but it's called Traction.
Okay.
Very cool book. A lot of business coaches use a whole system based on that book, and it has a picture of a big truck wheel in front of it, and it talks about team building and so on and so forth, and how to gain traction as an organization with the right people in place and so on. So very cool.
I gotta pick that one up. Yeah. How about a favorite book? It doesn't have to deal with business. Do you have a leisurely book? You don't have to have one. I don't.
A leisurely book. I'm a big car guy, so any magazines about cars and performance and stuff like that is usually my leisure. And obviously fitness, because I do like to lift weights. So the latest and greatest supplements and stuff.
Awesome. Great. Because that's my next question. Favorite hobby or thing to do that has nothing to do with business? What's your hobbies? What do you like to do?
I've been religiously getting up at 4 a.m. I'm at the gym from 5:15 to about 6:15, and that's my me time. So it's therapeutic mentally, and I get to disconnect from the world for an hour, and at the same time physically it's beneficial.
Nice. Love it. Music. Do you play any instruments?
Am I good at any instruments? Nah, I tried that. I'm not.
You don't have to be good. I'm not. I dabble in guitar.
I'm the type of guy that sings in the shower.
All right, good stuff. Karaoke guy. He's a karaoke guy.
All right.
One of my favorite shows is Ted Lasso, and in the show, he asks everybody, "What's your first concert and best concert?"
So you want to know mine? You're gonna try not to laugh, but I got to see as a kid MC Hammer.
Nice.
I was just drawn back on his moves and how fast and the energy. And the guy, they said that per show he loses 10-15 pounds. I could tell you, that dude drenched by the time he's doing his moves, and he's drenched. So I remember that. I've seen other folks in concert, like Sade. I've seen Van Halen was pretty cool in concert, but MC Hammer just impressed me with his moves, man. That dude really he worked for his
Awesome, great stuff. Favorite sport?
Football, of course. I'm an ex-football player. I love I gotta cheer for the local teams, but as far as on the college level, I'm a diehard Hurricane fan. On the level, unfortunately, I root for the Dolphins, but they disappoint me quite often. Actually, they disappoint me.
Now that you're living in Florida and you have to root for the Dolphins, is there a team that you liked growing up?
Growing up, I liked the Dallas Cowboys, and I've always liked the Bears because they've always had a tenacious defense. I've always been a defensive mentality type of guy.
Nice. Great stuff. Awesome. Eddie, you officially made it through the speed round. Congratulations. You made it out alive. Last chance if anyone has a question in the comments section. Eddie, do you have any questions, comments, concerns for us or anyone out there?
Yeah, why don't more people join LeTip?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely. If you're watching this, you're not in the LeTip chapter, definitely message us at the LeTip International page or leave a comment in the comment section. I'll personally reach out to you and get you coordinated with the right people you need to talk to. But yes, definitely, it's a great way to, I'm in Jersey right now. Eddie's in Florida, and we're connecting and helping members from all over the nation. Our huge database of experts and expertise to help the planet, right? To help the nation in their business endeavors. Anything else, Eddie?
No, we're just trying to change the way people do business. Networking is a new fashion pick. Cold calling is painful. Networking is
it's true. Very, very true. So if you're looking to get in contact with Eddie, you definitely want to. Here's his information, Eddie at alliancebusinesssolution.com. And there's his phone number. These are the things that he can help you. Your business advocate for life. He's there for you to help you guys out. So definitely reach out to Eddie if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And as always, thank you for watching LeTip Live. Eddie, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. And we'll see you guys next time on LeTip Live.
Take care.